Yeah.
All right, guys, we are in week. I always get the weeks mixed up. 13.
Yep.
Yep. Welcome. Flying high with the birds. Philadelphia Eagles talk. With me today, the Armenian Hammer.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. And also, Will, not quite sealing the deal, Sealy. What's up?
Guys? How's it going?
Good. Real good. Real quick, Eagles win against the Titans, 35-10. I don't think any of us saw this coming. Just a game where they won in all three facets: offense, defense, and special teams. Probably the first time we've seen that all year. Jalen Hurts, again, is making a real run for the MVP. After running for 157 yards last week, he throws for 380 yards, 3 TDs, and he ran for 1 TD. He's just getting more and more amazing as the weeks go along. The Eagles held Derrick Henry to 11 carries for only 30 yards, which was just incredible. A.J. Brown came back and just haunted his old team, had 8 receptions for 119 yards, 2 TDs. Devontae Smith had 5 receptions for 102 yards and a TD. Everything went right, guys. I don't know, I'll leave it up to you guys. Let's start breaking it down. What do you guys think?
It looked too easy, and I don't know whether Tennessee didn't come into play or they got caught off guard, but it looked like really wasn't even a contest. At the beginning, it looked like it, and I was getting really annoyed with Gannon when they had the 4th and 7, and he was playing prevent defense. And but other than that, they hunkered down and they shut them down, and then from that point on was basically just waiting for the game to be over.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It really did look like a statement game for the Eagles. I mean, they, in all facets of the game, even special teams, they dominated. And I mean, this was like the best game that I've seen the Eagles play all year, and it was so good to see.
Yeah, all of us, I don't think any of us felt real comfortable about this game. And I know, Vahe, 5 weeks ago, you were the one saying, Tennessee. Derrick Henry, that's going to be it.
Yep.
11 carries for 30 yards against that defensive line. Is that amazing?
Amazing,
And
yep.
Jordan Davis, he played 6. He only had 6 snaps. They said he played really good. I didn't really get a chance to focus on him when I watched the game, but they said he was more than ample doing the job for the 6 sacks, but they took him right out. He was limping when he did come out, but he did go in for a couple more plays. Then they kept him out. But the great thing is, I think at this point, I think you guys can agree that they're going to bring him along slowly because they got those other horses that they just picked up that were sitting on the couch for the last 11 weeks, right?
Yep. And also with the Cox not playing as many snaps as before, so staying fresh and is being more impactful too.
Would you guys say that Cox has played a lot better in the last 4 games?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Absolutely.
He's been great. I mean, I really do think like him just being able to get that extra rest instead of leaving him out there and making him, play more snaps. I think he's so much more useful to us.
I think he was playing 77 snaps last week. I think he played only 44 or something.
Yeah.
So almost half.
I mean, and look at him. I mean, he's looking like, I don't want to say he looks like the old Fletcher Cox, but he looks like an actual player now. Or at least he got some kind of youth back to him.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Do you guys think that maybe Michael Clay may have listened to our podcast last week?
That's what I'm thinking. Probably he was surfing the net and he found us and he saw us talking about him. He said, you know what? I better get my act together.
Everything was great. Good. Well,
he could have surfed the net last week and there wouldn't have been one thing not talking about him. He was like on the hot seat for weeks now. I mean, he's the biggest focus, I feel like, for the Eagles over the past few weeks. He's the only part of the team that everybody worries about. And I mean, finally they looked all right.
Yeah, not one long punt or kick return. I know the only, I don't know if they made wholesale changes, but I know that Jack Stahl was on every special teams play, and they
Mhm.
said that he was impactful. Nakobe Dean had a great game on special teams, besides a little bit that he did play in the fourth quarter. And it's amazing for playing just in the fourth quarter, he led the team in tackles.
Mhm.
And two of them were crushing hits. One on a kickoff return, I believe it was, and the other one where he blitzed right around Ndamukong Suh, who was taking on two guys in the fourth quarter and destroyed a running back that just got the handoff. So, and Kaiser White went out. I don't know what his story is going to be because he was hurt. I believe it might have been his knee, and the report will come out tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, to see his status. But, I believe that you're the one that said this. Your prediction was that if Dean does not start now, you had said, and I quote, that eventually he will be in the lineup and playing. Now might start being his time.
I think you could see that the guy has potential. We all know he had it in college. If he's taking over games almost where he's showing up in the stat sheet with all these tackles each week, it's going to be harder and harder to take him out, even when Kaiser White gets healthy. And when they have that decision at the end of the year, whether to keep TJ Edwards because this is his contract year. I mean, Nakobe Dean's just going to make it easier for them to move on from him because that's what you drafted him for. You needed that type of impact player, and he's shown it early, which is really it's great to see. I mean, the Eagles are in such a great spot right now because their linebackers are all playing well, and that's we haven't had it in so long. So this is just something great to see that the Eagles just really haven't had in years.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you think, I thought about this. Do you think part of the reason why the Eagles just played so aggressively this week, and that's evidenced by all the false start penalties that the offensive line had, but do you think that part of that might have been from everything that they were hearing from the media, that this is the game? This is the game. I think they're going to get pushed around. Do you think that may have had something to do with it, Vahe?
Could be, but the thing is that it was such a lopsided win that I don't know. I thought it was going to be much closer than it was. I knew the Eagles are going to come to play, but I was surprised at Tennessee, whether there was a mismatch or they didn't show up. Something didn't look right for a team being 7-4. For all practical purposes, the game was over by the fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
And for all that hype and being such a letdown.
Think about this. Yeah, Hurts throws for 380 yards and didn't play the fourth
It looks
quarter.
so easy too. Those throws.
Yeah.
Every throw you knew it's going to be a completion.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he's on target with a lot of his throws. And I'll tell you, if I were to put a percentage on how much better I think he is this year than last year, I'm going to say he's about 50% better than what he was.
He's more accurate too.
More accurate, more calm, can go to his left easy. The quarterback sneak thing is amazing. He's just probably the best in the league at doing it. He is a guy that another team has to absolutely have to prepare for. But at this point, I think the most important thing right now that's going to be discussed going forward are two things. He's absolutely right at the top of the MVP conversation right now, especially since Mahomes didn't look great and they lost. And Tua Tagovailoa, he had a bad game. And I know that the Tyreek Hill is also in the conversation. He's already approaching 100 catches and he's got more games left.
How about Joe Barrow?
Joe Burrow's really coming on, but he didn't start out good. But Hurts has played like this all along. But the two big things right now are Hurts for MVP, number one. Number two, how much is he going to, what's his contract going to be like next year? Now we're at the point where now this becomes a topic of conversation. And I know that his contract isn't up until next year, Will, I believe you said.
Yeah, he still has another year. from of eligibility or whatever from the draft. But the Eagles are going to want to do something early, like they always do. So as soon as they're able to, which would be the end of this season, that's when they're probably going to try to ink them in.
Well, they're saying the date, the timeline is like March, I think. So that's going to be the topic where, he's just so much different a player right now. Let's just talk real quick about, here's an interesting stat I got for you. I don't know if it's Pro Football Focus or NFL.com, but they had the power rankings again. The Eagles are ranked 5th.
No way.
Behind. Yes, 5th. Behind, now listen to this, Kansas City, Buffalo, Dallas. I'm not sure, but I think the other team might be the 49ers, but I'm not
How
positive.
about Cincinnati?
I think Cincinnati, I was going to say Cincinnati or the 49ers, but for some reason I thought it was the 49ers because of their defense. But Dallas is a real, I know now, and we talked about this too. Dallas's schedule coming up is kind of soft, isn't it?
It's very soft. They have where they have the Texans this
Yep,
week, the
this
Jags
week.
next week, and then it'll be the Eagles. So I mean,
The Eagles, and then Washington again, right?
Washington's the last game, I think. Before that, it's got Tennessee. They go down.
And then
to,
Tennessee.
I think that's for them. If they beat the Eagles, I think they'll lose to Tennessee. I think that's for them. It's going to be a trap game.
That game, I don't know if I would never consider Tennessee to be a trap game for anybody. That's just my opinion.
No, it's going to, if the Dallas beats the Eagles the week before, I'll bet you they lose to Tennessee the week after.
Well, remember the Eagles are 2 games ahead of Dallas right now. And actually, when you think about it, it's 3, considering that they beat them already. But
no, what I'm saying is that
I know what you're saying. Yeah, that it's a trap game. Is that game at Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is, right?
Yep, and they finished the season by going down to Washington and playing Washington in Washington.
I just think it's going to be a real tough game for the Eagles to win. Just like I was saying last week with Tennessee, I just think that game in Dallas is going to be tough.
The good thing is that you're going to have Dallas got it back, and I think that's a
one more week.
Yeah, next I think he's going to be back for the Chicago game.
Okay.
And the Dallas game is right after Chicago. So I think that's basically a big relief, because if you look at the way it's set up, he always creates these mismatches in the middle. Right now they don't right now they don't have anybody really consistent in the middle.
Stoll looked pretty good last week.
It was one, but it was only one game though, right?
Yeah.
So I think if Dallas comes back, I think that's going to create another situation that Dallas has to account for, and it's going to give opportunities for AJ Brown and Devonta Smith on the edges.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. What's the timeline for Avonte Maddox? Is he?
I haven't heard anything at all.
Yeah, they said he had a pretty deep hamstring pull. So, but Jose Scott's played pretty good. He's done his job. I think he's done a pretty good job, as well as
Blankenship had another.
Oh my God, I'll tell you, the few tackles he had, you could tell he's very physical. He rode one guy out of bounds. I think it was in the second quarter. He just, to me, looks like he belongs. He belongs in this league, and I think I'll tell you, he is a guy that I think I could see his jersey being worn in that stadium next year if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Is the Dallas game a day game or it's a night game? Is it the Christmas?
4:25, Christmas Eve.
Oh,
right?
Christmas Eve in the afternoon. Wow.
Yeah. That's really going to be
amazing game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Certainly. Now let's talk about like these penalties. I mean, they started the game. I think they had 3 penalties on their first drive, but they ended up scoring a touchdown anyway. So no matter how many, they had 12 penalties. No matter what penalty they had, it just seemed like it's okay. We'll just keep going down and we'll score. I think their first 6 or 7 possessions, it was TD, punt, TD, punt, TD, punt, TD. So they were very, very consistent. all along. But it just seemed like whatever there was a penalty, you could kind of couldn't you get the feeling that it really didn't matter? The Eagles were just going to pick it up and do what they needed
Yeah,
to do.
but you still know why they're having so many penalties, especially on the offensive line. One of them was on Kelsey, another was on Joe DeMalieta, right?
The entire offensive line. I believe that Mulata and Dickerson both had multiple penalties.
Yes,
And Dickerson could have had more than the couple that he had because he actually moved on that. You saw it again where he moved in that quarterback sneak when the Eagles were in the red zone when they got the first down. So
yeah, there had to be some type of like miscommunication with Hurts and the line. Like they had to be doing something different because it's too weird to see that many false start penalties from
maybe Hurts taking more time than they're used to. Maybe the last second is taking his time and then he's throwing everything off.
Yeah,
there just had to be something. Like it's too weird of a coincidence that many players had false starts. It's so unlikely for this unit and any team really with their offensive line coach. I mean, it's not something we're used to seeing. So there just had to be some type of miscommunication. I'm sure they addressed it, and we should be.
They're tweaking it. Yeah, Stoutland, I'm sure every time they were offside, did you see Stoutland? They went to Stoutland on the sideline and he had his paper out and he's marking things down. He's real quiet about it, just marking it down. Like all right, I'll ream his ass out Monday when I talk. But I know that they're gonna get that all fixed up. But all along, I mean, I was very impressed for everything. They had 4 receptions at a tight end. Stahl looked very good as a tight end. The other guy, Calcaterra, had a real nice catch. I think Watkins had 2 or 3 catches. The ball was distributed very well. They're still not throwing to the running backs, which is a kind of, ironic. And but the interesting thing is, for as much as I ran over a team last week, they were able to, and this I'm sure had a lot to do with the game plan. They threw the ball this week because Tennessee was at the top of the food chain and run defense, but more closer to the bottom of the food chain and in pass defense. And part of the problem with them are their D-backs. I think number 1, they're not very good. And number 2, I think they had a couple injuries along there. So, I and I'll tell you, for as much as I've always said on this podcast that Shane Steichen, I'm not sold on him yet. I thought it was a very good game plan. And I think from top to bottom, I mean, even though that the players do it on the field, I think the preparation and the play calling was just perfect for this game. Perfect. So,
yeah, I can't wait for the Dallas game. Yeah, it's like basically let's just fast forward that game because everything else is going to be just.
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But defensively, I'm just trying to think here if there's anything else. The pass rush seemed to be on point. I mean, the rush defense by the line was all very good. The way that they rotated the guys in and out, especially on the defensive line, was perfect. I wish I had the snap counts here with me available, but I think that it was probably very useful for the. I don't know how many plays that Ndamukong Suh had, but every time he was in there, he just literally moves his player, the guy that's lined up to him, back further and further and further, and that just gets to a team after a while. Yeah. What a pickup he was, and Joseph is very good too. He played much better this week than he did last week, I think, and. Sweat had 2 sacks, right? And the other guy, the guy they picked up from Carolina, I can't think of his name. Who am I thinking about? The linebacker, Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
I know he had 1 or 2 sacks, but he was constantly pressuring the quarterback. He was constantly in the backfield. And he also was out on pass coverage. You saw him on pass coverage doing a good job. So, everything just seemed to be just perfect. All right, we'll do a quick commercial and we'll go to next week's game. Is your kitchen or bathroom outdated or in serious need of repair? Since 1987, Kitchen World offers the latest in custom, semi-custom, and even stock cabinetry. The designers offer the absolute best in custom design right down to the exquisite molding details. That's Kitchen World, with showrooms in Philadelphia, Bucks, and Montgomery counties. Call Burton to set up an appointment at 267-228-9875 or check us out at kitchen-worldinc.com. All right. New York Giants this week. Trap game? No trap game? What do you guys think?
Let me just add one thing real quick, just for the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
We did lose Robert Quinn to injury reserve.
Oh, that's right. We didn't mention him.
So he might come back for the playoffs. But
How long
Does
he out?
really,
So he's
does it
on
really
IR.
matter? Does it really matter?
No, it probably doesn't. But I mean, just,
Well, it might.
no.
Think about this. It could matter if Jordan Davis got hurt again. So, now they're going to be a little tight if that happens. And I don't know, like I started to rip Milton Williams, and I just don't, I think his arms are too short. I think he's just very average at best right now. And that's why I'm thinking that, like, you got Barnett that's on IR. You got Cox who's getting old. You got the two guys they just picked up. They were also over 30 years old. You got Tua Peluto, who's out for the season on IR. They still could be a wreck on the defensive line come the beginning of next year. And there's going to be some wholesale changes, I think, on that defensive line.
Yeah. Now the Giants, though, I mean, remember them from the beginning of the season where everybody was saying, "Oh, they're just such a fraud team." They're playing really good football, and they've been playing good football all year long.
Yeah, they're playing very good situational football. They're probably one of the best at that. But I mean, think about this. They don't have any wide receivers right now. None. And they're doing it like it's like they're playing with mirrors, where you got Barkley and everybody else who's just average. They got a real good defensive line. I'll give them that much. Defensively, they're a tough team. That's going to be a physical game.
That's what would be similar to the Titans game, right? I mean, they have a stud running back and then nothing else. And then probably it's going to be this. The line is significant. I mean, with the Tennessee Titans line, it kept going down and down, went all the way down to 4, and then went up to 4.5. But this one started with 6.5. Now it's up to 7. So if you go by the line, it just tells you like it's Eagles win.
Yeah.
Well,
I just think like they don't have the talent, but I think they're extremely well coached, and it looks like they're really prepared for the game, and that's why
very opportunistic. Very opportunistic.
Yeah, they are. They take advantage of every situation. And honestly, like they could have won last week. They could have won. There was one other game that I still think they could have won the first Dallas game. That was at New York, and there was another game that they could have won. So they could very easily be a lot better play-wise. But remember, last year, that's the game that the Eagles just threw a blank when they played them, and that was easily Hurts's worst game. So that game was worse than the Tampa Bay game for him. Honestly, he threw a 0 that game.
But wasn't it a different coaching staff last year?
For them?
Yeah,
I don't know who their defensive coordinator was, but he had him just all mixed up during that game. I'm not sure if it's the same guy or if it's somebody else. But remember, that game, the Eagles should have won that game easily because they were running over people, running the ball. They stopped the run. They forced them to throw. And I think he had 2 picks that game. I don't think he threw for any touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been the game that they could have won, but Rager dropped the 2 passes down by the end zone. I think that might have been the game. He dropped one right at the end zone and one in the end zone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
was it him or it was AJ Whitesack?
No. It was Rieger. Rieger, there were 2
There
passes.
was one play that the ball went right through his hands.
That was Rieger, and it was his back was toward the goalpost. He was facing Hurts, and he threw the ball down by the end zone. And the Eagles, I think, were only down by less than a touchdown, and it went right. Seth Joyner said it best. He said, when Rieger put his hands up, it looked like he was trying to catch a beach ball. His hands were this far apart. And then the play before that, he threw it in the end zone to him, running straight down the left sideline, and it was right there, and it hit off his face mask, I believe. He just
is he still? I mean, I haven't heard his name at all. Is he still
No.
playing?
no, I think he returns punts, and that's all he does. You know what? I'm going to have to look and see how many. If one of you guys can just look up how many receptions, I wouldn't be surprised if he has less than a handful of receptions this year. So what a
Wow.
waste. But what do they get for him? A 6? Was it a 6th-round pick? You know,
Yeah, in the 5th or 6th. Yeah, 5th
Yeah.
or 6th or something like that.
but speaking of that, New Orleans lost again.
Oh
And
my God, I thought they were going to win. I mean, at one
so
point,
did I put that game on a couple times, but now I'll tell you, when the Eagles play them, that's a big game, man. They
Yeah.
need to win that game
Yep.
because the Saints are playing. No, they lost. They lost last night in a game
Mhm.
that they should have won, and they've lost a few games that they should have won. But
Oh,
they
right now
just-
they're like 4 and 8.
4-9.
No, 4
4
and
and
8. No, 4 and maybe 4 and 9, right?
Yeah, they could. I think they're
But they have
4-9.
a couple of easy games. They play Carolina, and they play the
Carolina
Eagles.
always plays them tough when they.
Oh, they
play.
do,
Yeah, and they got to play the Eagles and the week after they play Dallas.
and they play Atlanta. No, they
Yeah,
don't play Dallas. They don't have Dallas.
No, the week after the Eagles play Dallas, the Eagles play.
Yes, yes.
So I think it's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day that
Yeah.
they play. That they play, and that's a 1:00 game. I'm pretty sure that's a 1:00 game. But they're just the stranglehold at quarterback. They just really between.
I
Dalton
thought Jameson
and,
Winston was supposed to come back. What
and
happened to
well,
him?
no, I don't think he's. I don't know. He's on the sideline cheering for Dalton, and he's the quarterback. So, they just talent wise, they just took a step backwards. I think they were when they were trading everybody. I think they were trying to reload for the future, but horrible way to try to reload when they give away a 1st-round draft pick.
Well,
you
that's,
know?
Like
I
a
mean,
top
sometimes
5.
you look back after the, I mean, obviously after the facts, right? And you look back, it says, okay, what were they thinking? Like, for example, with Tennessee or with the Saints, like they gave up their 1st-round pick for this year because they wanted the Eagles, I don't know, 15, 16
Yeah.
pick, right? For what? I mean, obviously, why are you making that decision?
Well, what really begins to worry me is now maybe a lot of general managers are going to be real leery about trying, like if Harry Roseman wants to make a deal with them because it ends up haunting the other team. Did you get how many receptions Rieger has, Will?
Yeah, he's got 6 catches for 87 yards.
Wow.
For the whole
man.
season.
That's for
Yep.
the whole season. That's like
Wow.
a half what AJ Brown would get. You
Yeah,
know?
how many
In a
you guys
game,
think,
in a game.
What do
Yeah.
you guys think JJ Arthega-Whiteside has?
He's out. He's out of the league, right?
Yeah.
Is he in the arena? Did he sign up with the Arena Football League?
He's
Well,
working
just-
at he's
but it
working
just-
at Home Depot.
Yeah, but it just goes to show you some of the horrible decisions that were made. And
How
I
about
think
Baker
Democrats-
Mayfield, number 1 overall pick. Baker Mayfield. I don't know what this story is. He got cut, right?
Yeah.
He got picked up by the Rams today.
Oh, he was picked up. See, that's bad. The Rams need to completely rebuild. I don't think it just makes no sense.
But they don't
to
have
get-
any picks left. They traded everything for that Super Bowl last year. I don't think they have a 1st-round pick for the next 2-3 years.
Probably, and they also have guys that are hurt and old. So
Yep.
that's going to be a
They
problem.
had to give up
with
a 1st-round pick for the quarterback, right? And they gave up a 1st-round pick for Von Miller, didn't they?
them.
Wasn't
Might
it
be
Von
right.
Miller?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about
They
that.
gave up a couple of 1st-round picks because they wanted to go to the Super Bowl and win.
They
it
were all
last
in,
year.
but it worked
You know,
for them
they did
because
it,
they
though.
won. They did.
Yeah,
it.
they won.
It's all worth it.
Yeah,
And now for the next few years, they're going to just be average. At least they won something. Can you imagine
Yeah.
with Denver? They're not going to win
Oh.
anything, and plus they give up one
9
pick.
points. I mean, I'll tell you. Speaking of that, now you got Hurts's contract situation coming up. Okay, like you're thinking big money. Okay, you got all that money that you gave to Rodgers. He's about 40 years old, and right now he's hurt, and he hasn't played that well. You got the amount of money that was given to Russell Wilson, who is playing like a backup right now. And they're going to be, the Denver Broncos are going to fall 2 or 3 years behind now because of that stupid decision to sign him. Thank God that he didn't want to come to Philadelphia. I don't know what that would have been like. And then you got Kyler Murray, who signed for all that money. And so, like,
Can you imagine the Eagles would have traded Hurts for Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
And he would be shining in Denver, and this guy will be sucking up here big time. Oh my
No, he would have been
God.
at Seattle. He would have been at
I mean,
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah. But there was talk that he wanted that, you know, I mean, the Eagles were interested in Russell Wilson,
Mhm.
but he didn't want to come here. And it ended up being the best thing. But, you know, something still tells me that he's hurt. He's not saying much about it. And he's really playing at maybe 60% of what he is. And maybe next year he'll be a lot better. But between the head coach and the way that he is playing, and also the injuries, they have more guys on IR. If you take their money that's on IR, it blows away everybody else in the league. So you put those three things together, and the team is an absolute disaster. And I'm not sure, but didn't the Walmart family buy them? There was a big family. I can't remember if it's Walmart or somebody that just bought the team. And this was done right after they made the Russell Wilson deal, thinking that this was going to be it, you know? So, but all I'm getting at now is that when the Eagles have to make this deal with Hurts, you got all these other guys that made all this money. But then again, none of them were real young. The youngest one was Kyler Murray in the last couple years. And I would say he might be 28, 29 years old, but Hurts is 24.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't
Some
know
people
if
they're
Hurts
saying
is
it's going to
gonna
make
break the
between
record.
35, probably 35 to 40 million dollars a year, right? That's what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know what he's making now. Would you say it's about 5 or 6 million a year? Less than that?
Oh, probably less than that. I think
Oh my
as a
gosh.
rookie, he's a second rounder too, remember, right?
Yeah,
So
so
probably
he's
his
gonna,
total contract's maybe like $6 million, 6-7 million total for 4 years.
all right, so he's gonna like absolutely hit the lottery. He's gonna
Yep.
be rich beyond, like he'll be able to live comfortably for the rest of his life after this
Mhm.
next contract.
And
But
he
it would-
deserves it because you look at the other people, he's much better than Kyler Murray, right? He's much better
and
than
he's much younger than all of them too,
yeah.
you know?
Hurts's cap hit right now is 1.6 million.
Yeah, but how much is his,
How much
what is
was his rookie
salary?
contract?
Yeah.
I think it's 6 million, right? $6 million.
Let's see.
You know who was stupid? Lamar Jackson.
Oh
He should
my
have taken
God.
that, whatever they
Yeah.
gave him, $230 million, and he turned them down. And now, I don't know. I mean,
I'll tell you, when I watch them play, I just get the feeling that he is in the wrong scheme. I just don't think that that he is playing with the right scheme. I just think if he was with a different team, he could be a better player. You know, when you look at him, like it was always like a little guy, he can run like hell, doesn't have a good arm. He throws a really nice football. But they don't have the quality skill guys that a lot of these other teams have. So I think that might be part of his problem. But, you know, you just look at like bad quarterback play. I mean, the guy that came in for him when he got hurt, I can't remember who it was, but even though he came back, he had a game-winning drive. That guy is at best a marginal backup quarterback. I mean, even the backups are not even good. Some of the backups aren't even good enough to be backups in this league.
yeah.
So
I mean, if Hurts wins this MVP, then Howie Roseman should win the Manager of the Year award because he was the one more so than anything else putting people around Hurts to make him look like an MVP.
Yeah, but Will, let me ask you this: don't you think Hurts is looking so much better as a great quarterback because of how bad the overall quarterback play is in the NFL?
Yeah, it's that. And I mean, I was talking to Dan the other day, and I think I can't root for Jalen Hurts. I have to continue to
Oh.
hate him. Listen to me. For the sake of the Eagles, I need to hate Jalen Hurts because he's playing so well. I think it's the only. I don't want to mess with any juju.
I think it's not just him. I think the team around him too. I mean, having AJ Brown and having Devonta Smith on the other side and him in Dallas Goedert. I mean, that makes a big difference. So it's partly him, but also his.
I'm bringing
cast.
this in tomorrow.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Vahe. I think he's playing amazing. I mean, he's doing so well, and he looks so good. He does look so much better.
Ace.
For me, I'm actually afraid that if I start rooting for him,
He's
going to start stinking or he's going to get hurt. So I'm just gonna have to. Root against him.
I already decided I'm going to get you Britton Covey jersey for Christmas.
Oh my God, that would be a waste of money.
Well, all bigger than him. Yeah, right.
I don't think they make jerseys my size with his name on it.
That's why you're rooting for him. That's why we all root for him. All right, real quick before we get off here, let's go over our picks for last week. Presently, I have 4 wins. Oh, the Pod Chaplain. We haven't even mentioned him this week, who obviously couldn't make it because he's got a work party today. He also has 4 wins. Vahe has 3. Will has 1. Last week, the scores predicted were Will, 27-24 Titans, loser. Jimmy, the other 3 were Eagles. Jimmy had 30-24 Eagles, Vahe 27-24 Eagles, and I had 21-10 Eagles. Who wins?
You win.
I win.
Because
so
you have the biggest
5.
difference. Because you have a biggest differential.
Right. Okay. So I'm 5. The Chaplain's 4. Vahe's 3. Will's 1. Jimmy, the Chaplain, obviously, since he wasn't on, he did give me the prediction for this week.
No, you have 5 or you have.
Oh, I got 5.
And then Jimmy has 5
4.
too.
No, Jimmy has 4. Jimmy has
sure?
4. Yeah, because the Eagles are 11-1. That's 12 games, right?
Oh,
so
12 games. Okay,
5
12.
and 4 and 3 and 1. That equals 13 because I had 2 the 1 week.
Okay.
Because I got it on the nose.
Okay. So now you're going to have.
Right. So let's go with this week. Jimmy already picked. He picked the Giants 24-20. So that's his trap game. I'll go next. I think the Eagles are going to win, but I think it's going to be a very hard fought game. I'm going to go 24-13 Eagles. Vahe?
31-10 Eagles.
Wow. And Will?
I think this is going to be an easy game for the Eagles. I think that the Giants had a really tough game this past week and a real emotional game. And I think they're not ready for the Eagles yet. So I'm going to go Eagles 34, Giants 17.
All right. And with that, Will, I'm going to say that every pick with you has either been a blowout win for the Eagles or a devastating upset against the Eagles. And maybe that's why you only have 1 win. I don't know.
You never know. I mean, next week he could win. I mean, he's picking a biggest differential.
He needs to seal the deal, Vahe. He's not doing that. So, all right. Any last minute thoughts before we wrap this up?
I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Probably they're going to play against Cincinnati, and then I think they're going to win that game. I think everybody on the NFC, every week they say, oh, how about San Fran? Or how about Tampa? Or how about this? How about that? And now they're saying, how about the Dallas? I think they're going to go to Dallas and they're going to kick their ass. And that will be the end of that story.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Especially Goddard coming back.
I think Dallas will still end up losing in the first round of playoffs to whoever.
I think that if you were to ask me right now for like $1,000, if the Eagles are going to win at Dallas on Christmas Eve, I'm going to say Dallas as of right now. I don't know. That's just what I feel. Dallas is a very good team. And I think the Eagles have to be Dallas, their defense is very, very fast. And I know that on that game, Dallas is going to be like 100% up for that game. And I'm just hoping that the Eagles are at least 2 games up by the time they play them. So if they are, I think if they lose, I think they can still do it. But, the thing to remember is that the Eagles' one loss is against a division opponent, which also is not good. I would have rather have been a team like Pittsburgh or the Titans or, a team from another division. So, all right, is that it, guys?
That's it.
All right. Thanks a lot for listening to all 2 people that listen to our podcast. Thank you so much for listening to Flying with the High Philadelphia Eagles Talk. See ya.
See you guys.
All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah.